Have you received notice that your current tenant is planning to move out? Are you concerned that tenant turnover is going to take too much time and be too stressful? If so, I'm here to help. My name is Jada.Brown, and I am a real estate agent and property manager in Baltimore, Maryland. In this video, I am going to give you some solid steps to ensure that your property gets filled with a qualified tenant, hopefully before the current tenant moves out. So make sure to keep on watching if this is of interest to you. So I'd like to break this down into 3 different stages. The first stage is the pre-move out. So for most of my rentals, I require at least a 30 days notice that a tenant plans to move out. That way it gives me 30 days to prepare for their move out and hopefully find a qualified candidate to obviously occupy the property. So during this stage, you want to be proactive and you want to move quickly. And it gives you a head start as well. So the first thing that I do is I get the move out date in writing, and I have a template where I have the tenant's name, their forwarding address, and other pertinent information, and I have that current tenant put that information on there as well as their move out date and sign, right? And you'll need that in the final stage. So the first thing is to get the move out date in writing, signed by both you as the property owner or the manager, as well as the tenant, agreeing to when they plan on moving out. And that forwarding address is for their security deposit when you return it in 45 days, right? The next thing that I like to do is a pre-move out inspection, and I do this one of 2 ways. Either I go in, as a property manager, and I take pictures of every room as well as videos, or I have the tenant send me pictures of every room. And the purpose of this is so that you as the owner or the manager know exactly what you will have to fix when that tenant moves out, and you're able to start scheduling those repairs as well as have a cost estimate of how much it will cost for this turnover and whether or not you will have to deduct this from their security deposit. I also like to get these pictures and videos because I believe it lets the tenants know that, you are serious and that you will get evidence. And I have been surprised. There's been a couple of times where tenants have sent me the pictures and videos of the property, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna need a lot of repair, and the tenants end up doing the repairs. So there's that. And then the next thing that you want to do is list the property on the market, so that way you can start getting in leads while the current tenant is still there. And what I do in this example is that I use the pictures that I used before the current tenant moved in, and I just put that on Zillow, on Bright MLS, on Facebook Marketplace, other places that I look for leads, and I put those pictures up, and I explain in the description, hey, the current tenant is living there, their move out date is this date, the property should be ready by whatever date that is, usually 2 weeks later. And I consult with the current tenants and I let them know, hey, I am looking for a new tenant. Is there any way that we could schedule tours? What's your best availability? And I haven't had any tenant tell me no, they're not showing the property while they're living there. And when I meet those leads, those people who are interested in the property, I let them know, again, hey, they're moving out. This is what the property looks like at its current state, but here's what we will be doing to the property before you move in if you are interested. And from those pre-move-in inspections, the pictures and videos, I already know what we're doing, if we're refreshing, if we're painting, and I let that lead know when they come to look at the property in its current state. Okay, so The second stage of tenant turnover is the actual move out. And this is really critical, so please make sure you're paying attention. The first thing that you want to do is a move out inspection. Now remember, we've already done a pre-move out inspection. Now it's time for the actual move out inspection. And when I do this, I have already done the move in inspection, and it's on the same document as the move out inspection. And I like to do the move out inspection with the current tenant so they're not surprised if I have to deduct from their security deposit for any damages. So we go through the entire house using that template, and I look at the property in detail to make sure that it is, up to standard, and if it's anything more than normal wear and tear, I'm making sure that I'm documenting this. I'm taking pictures, I'm taking videos, because in case we ever have to go to court, I have to have my evidence, right? And I tell the tenants to do the same. Take pictures, take videos, right? Then the next thing is using the same template that I used to get their forwarding address. I also have them sign that they're returning all keys, and that's keys that were furnished, if they made keys, storage keys, mailbox keys, just all keys for the property. I'm ensuring that we're getting those keys back and that they're signing, and I'm signing that they are returning all keys. And then I also make sure that they have transferred the utilities. I ask for a confirmation that they've transferred it. And then I also make sure that we transfer the utilities back to our name, and, we're all good with the utilities. The third thing that we do for tenant turnover is to basically schedule all repairs to get done ASAP. You do not want your property sitting on the market for any day longer than it has to, because any day that it sits on a property without a tenant living there is a day that you lose money as the property owner. So I make sure to schedule the repairs like the next day that the tenant moves out, or sometimes even the same day if I know they're moving out earlier in the day. And one important thing that I want to note is to refresh if you can. Refresh the property if it's in the budget. And when I say that, I mean fresh coat of paint if it's in the budget and if the property needs it. If there was a pet that was living at your property, right, most times you're going to get an extra deposit. Hopefully you can refresh the floors if need be, if maybe that pet scratched the floors. Put in nice light fixtures. That's very popular in Baltimore City, but putting in some of those fancy light fixtures, this will help for your future tenants. They will see this as positives, and you can possibly get higher rent for these refresh items that you've done. And then let's talk about the security deposit. So it's important to note that in Baltimore City, you must return a security deposit to your former tenants within 45 days. And if you plan on deducting from the security deposit, it's important to note that this is only for items that are outside of normal wear and tear, right? So you can't deduct from the security deposit if it's something like, maybe the paint needed to be refreshed anyway, but now you're going to charge them because, you want to get it painted on their dime. No, it's for normal wear and tear, and it has to be the actual cost to replace this item, right? So you can't say, oh, I think it'll be about $300. Nope, it has to be an actual invoice from the repair person that will be making this repair, right? So you want to make sure that you have the actual itemized invoice, because if not, you can be fined in the city of Baltimore, and you can possibly owe at least 3 times the amount that you're charging them. So make sure that you have your receipt. And that is how to easily complete your tenant turnover in Baltimore City. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments and I will answer it. And if you're interested in talking to me because you need a property manager in Baltimore, please give me a call. My number is 571-259-3588.